Hey guys, my name is Martini Henry, and today I want to talk about a bolt-action rifle that I've recently fallen in love with in Battlefield 1, and that is the Gewehr 98 sniper variant. For a long time, I was struggling to find a rifle that would work with me when I was playing as this class, because while I think that DICE did an exceptional job of giving us a lot of variety when we're playing as the scouts. You've got bolt-action rifles that will allow you to play more aggressively. If you want to be more of a tactical sniper and take people out at long range, you've got those rifles as well. And then of course there's everything in between, but the one thing that the game does horrifically is explaining which of these rifles are good for that type of combat, because the UI is abysmal. The UI in general is really bad in Battlefield 1, and I understand this is just one example, but at least based off of the in-game menu, it is impossible to know how I'm supposed to use these weapons for certain kind of combats. If this was like Battlefield 4, it probably wouldn't mean all that much because they didn't have the sweet spot mechanic. If you picked a bolt-action rifle and it clicked with you and you knew how to do work with it, you could probably use that your entire time in Battlefield 4 and you would never feel the desire to switch on over to something else. But because we do have the sweet spot mechanic in Battlefield 1, it really matters which gun they're using because it is going to dictate how well you perform in certain situations. If you're not aware of what the sweet spot mechanic is, basically the way it works is that at certain distances, a bolt-action rifle's damage will increase all the way up to 100%, where if you hit the enemy in the body, you'll be able to kill them from 100% to 0. One shot, one kill, you don't even need to hit them in the head. If you're in this sweet spot range, you're going to be able to kill them with that one bullet. And so what I've done today to hopefully make things a little bit easier to understand is I've created this little cheat sheet of weapons that are good for close encounter combat, and then move on up until we get to the best weapon that takes people out at long range. And so to start things off, we have the Martini, which is going to have that one-shot sweet spot distance starting at 30 meters to 80 meters. Moving on down to the SMLE, it has a sweet spot distance of 40 to 75. The Russian 1895 has a sweet spot of 60 meters to 100. The Gewehr 98, which is the one that I've been really using a lot, it has a sweet spot starting at 80 meters to 125 meters. And then finally, we have the 1903, which is going to be meant for more of your long-range combat, going from 100 to 150. Now, all of these stats are coming from a website called simthick.com, which I highly recommend that you check out, by the way. I'll leave a link down below in the description because they go into the nitty-gritty details of every single stat for each of the weapons in this game. I wish we didn't need a website like this in Battlefield 1, especially for the sweet spot mechanic, because it really is an essential component of these weapons, and it's mind-blowing that DICE doesn't give this specific detail in the UI itself. Now, I think the reason why initially I was struggling as much as I was when I first started playing as a scout class was because everyone was recommending that I try out the SMLE. It's hard to argue with their logic. This is probably the most well-rounded bolt-action rifle that you can use in Battlefield 1 because it pretty much is everything that you would desire. It's got the highest magazine size. You get 8 rounds at your disposal when you're using this weapon, so you have to hardly ever reload. It's got a great bullet velocity, so you can still snipe people at long range, but its great component is it allows you to play more aggressively. So it has that nice sweet spot mechanic up close, so that if you do play close to the chest, you're going to excel. It also still allows you to do well at a distance because of that high bullet velocity. And so when you compare it to the other bolt-action rifles, it doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. For some reason, though, it just wasn't working for me. I don't know if it's because it doesn't have access to some of the higher optics like the 6 or 8 times scope. Maybe that was limiting me. I don't know if it was because I wasn't taking advantage of its sweet spot mechanic enough. Whatever the case, I could not make this weapon work, and it's the main reason why I started to experiment with some of the other weapons available to the scout class. That's when I discovered the amazing capabilities of the Gewehr 98 sniper variants. I think the reason why this weapon has meshed with me so well is I was naturally gravitating towards that 100-meter distance when I got in conflict with someone. I don't like to be up close. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old and fat and I don't have the twitch reflexes as kids do these days, but I was just noticing that I wanted to keep my distance from the enemy around 100 meters, and that's exactly where this sweet spot mechanic is going to be perfect for this weapon. On top of that, this has the highest bullet velocity out of all of the bolt-action rifles, coming in at 880 meters per second. This thing flies at the enemy. The bullet, when it comes out of the barrel and lands at the target, is almost instantaneous. You do not need to lead much when you're using the Gewehr 98 because it just gets there so much quicker than all of the other bolt-action rifles. One thing I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did, which really became useful, was the Periscope Gadgets. I honestly thought that this accessory was going to be useless when I first learned about it, because I thought to myself, why would I want to use this periscope to spot an enemy out in the distance? If I'm going to spot someone, I'm just going to aim down sight with my rifle and do it that way, and then just hopefully kill them in the next couple of seconds. Why would I want to go through this process of bringing out a gadget, then spotting them? And while yes, it does have the benefit that it brings that red outline around the enemy, making it easier for you and your teammates to know where they are, but I just could not understand why I would want to go through that lengthy process of bringing out a gadget. Then I actually started to understand its true potential. If you know that an enemy sniper is trying to shoot at you, or you're just simply hiding behind a rock trying to identify where the action is coming from, this gadget is invaluable. I cannot tell you how many times I was able to catch someone by surprise because I was hiding behind cover using this gadget. I identified where they were coming from and then peeked out really quickly and then domed them in the face. This is especially good when you're fighting against enemy snipers. If someone takes a pot shot at you, but you're not exactly sure where they are, one good tactic is to find cover really quickly, bring out this periscope, and then kind of scout out the area. One of the biggest things that you want to avoid when you're fighting against an enemy scout is simply not knowing where they're located. Those couple of seconds that it's going to take for you to identify where those bullets are coming from usually are going to mean the difference between life and death. And so having the option to duck behind cover and then periscope from the safety of that cover and figure out where the enemy is going to shift the battle into your favor. It may not win you the firefight because at the end of the day, you still have to shoot them, but either the sniper is going to get bored, they're just gonna go look for someone else to shoot, or it's going to allow you to peek out really quickly because you know their exact position and line that headshot against them. And so I cannot recommend enough using the periscope. It's not gonna be useful on every single map. There are of course gonna be some maps where it's more advantageous than others, but if you've been someone who thought to yourself that this was a useless gadget, I can guarantee it is not useless and has become one of my favorite gadgets in the game, at least for the scout class. All in all though, I think the main message that I'm trying to get across in today's video is simply just to experiment more with the different bolt action rifles. I think a lot of people that are new to the game automatically just start to use the SMLE because they see that everyone is using that when they're getting killed by a scout class, and so they automatically assume, hey, if everyone's using it, it must be the best rifle. And while that might be true for you, it might be the best weapon for your playstyle, that doesn't mean that it's going to be the best for everyone. And so experiment, hopefully use my little cheat sheet to get a better understanding of what range you should be trying to manipulate your battle, trying to get into engagements with the enemy, so that hopefully you can have more success when you are playing as the scout class. But yeah guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite weapon is when you're playing as this kit. Is it the SMLE? Do you prefer the Martini or something more for long range like the 1903? Let me know down below. But yep, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.